Looks like we're talking about the lumps. Welcome back to another video. I am the local weirdo, and in my eternal quest to cover all that is Adventure Time, I'm going to be going over every single episode within the original show and Distant Lands. With that being said, let us begin. Now, for those of you who do not know, the lumps is a disease within the Adventure Time universe which is contracted via bite from any denizen from the lumpy space dimension. It is incredibly fast acting, with the time it takes to actually consume a person being entirely dependent on when they were bitten throughout the day. As stated by Lumpy Space Princess, we know that it is entirely dependent on when the sun goes down, as it goes by werewolf rules as per her own words. The disease slowly contorts both your body and mind, resulting in you becoming what is considered the standard in lumpy space. And once the sun entirely goes down, it becomes completely incurable and you remain that way for the rest of your life. If you're a Morrowind fan, basically imagine Corpus, but instead of turning into cancerous tumors, you instead become a foul-mouthed teenager with the mumps. Now, luckily for us, we actually do in fact get to see the disease in action throughout an entire episode, with the case study in this particular instance being Jake himself, who was bitten by LSP. Now, we actually get to see the disease slowly progress throughout his entire body, increasing lumpiness at a surprising rate, causing distortion within the joints, bones, as well as ligaments of the body, as well as even increasing the lumpiness and size of things like eyeballs. Oddly enough, though, it does not seem to cause physical pain, which is actually a little surprising. Now, I understand I'm here to mainly talk about the disease, but let me actually address Lumpy Space for a brief moment. Lumpy Space is a unique dimension that can be found only via a portal through a unique frog that always is next to a mushroom. After giving the password, it will basically devour anyone who wants to seek Lumpy Space and will result in them being teleported directly into the dimension. Now, Lumpy Space is a little interesting because, technically speaking, the entire place isn't really a singular mass. Instead, the entire dimension is mainly comprised of small islands entirely made out of clouds. As one would imagine from an area called Lumpy Space, everything is lumpy and there's pretty much nothing there that is properly smooth. Not even the wheels of their cars are, which makes sense as the wheels of the car aren't really necessary, as they are mainly designed to float from one island to another, because otherwise you would just plummet into the void. Moving back to the disease, however, the symptoms will continue to get worse and worse until they finally consume the person who is afflicted. This is shown via a buttload of lumps completely consuming the individual and turning them into just a standard lumpy person. The only way to avoid this fate is to utilize the lump antidote, which unfortunately I don't exactly have much information on it. It kind of just exists. The only information I do have is that it is not a permanent solution if this transformation takes place and the sun goes down. It only temporarily removes lumps at that point. However, if it is utilized prior to that transformation, then the lumps will go away permanently. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. Luckily for me, the earlier episodes of Adventure Time are pretty low lore, so I'm actually able to make these videos relatively quick. So thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. Thanks so much to my patrons, and if you guys want to support me because these constantly become copyrighted, it would be lovely if you also become my patrons. Don't feel pressured, but it would definitely help. But as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye.